She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are cooking in this Wednesday. It's a full Wednesday 2-hour show, folks, right back from the couple days off, but we thought we'd hit the ground running. And what better way to do that than 2 full hours, huh? Welcome, and hope you're having a good week. It's a special day here on the Portal. Hey, Don, what day is it?
Would it be Wednesday?
It would. Hump day.
Oh, you mean hump day? That day?
I don't know. It was going to be much better.
Brent.
Yeah.
Brent.
Yeah.
Guess what day it is?
What's that, Don?
Hump day.
Hump day. Hump day, folks. You've made it halfway. This is the hot halfway point of the week, and you've made it. Now, since there's no more need for introduction, please welcome my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard.
Hump day.
With the crooked camera.
Crooked camera.
Look at all that crookedness.
Well, that's all right.
Your camera's out of alignment, too.
Yeah, maybe it's my head.
Well, welcome, though. How you been?
It looks fine to me. Today was a long day.
Yeah? Was it?
And just, but it was a good day. It was almost productive.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about all you can ask, I guess. I actually slept, so I was really surprised by that.
Oh,
yeah.
Sleep, being surprised by sleep is usually a good thing unless you're like driving down the road. Then it's not so good.
That is the worst. That has happened to me. Yeah, it's a horrifying feeling because you know you're okay, but you don't know how long you've been at it.
Yeah.
It's like you start checking the mirrors like, is there smoke or flames behind me? What's going on?
Do I see flashing lights? Is that why I woke up? I heard the boo.
Oh, what a horrible, horrible thing. But we are at it, folks. We got 2 full hours of the Portal tonight, and we're hoping to cook your bacon thoroughly before the end of it. So if we do our job, you're going to leave here feeling maybe a slight pull in your temples, but that's just all this new information sitting in there cooking and perhaps making holes. I don't know what the hell else.
It's like Swiss cheese, you know.
Yeah, it's like mad cow disease
molds
after every show. But we're going to do our best to entertain you throughout the course of our journey tonight. As always, the phones will be on. And please, give us some time, though, before you start calling in. And the number to call in, which should probably be best second hour, is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. If you forget that, look above my head. In this case, in the screen that you're looking at now, it's a little farther up. But under the words Paranormal Portal, the phone number will always be there on your YouTube screen. So if you want to see, that's how you see. So anyway, we have a lot of things cooking tonight. We're doing kind of a creature feature here on the Portal tonight. We're going to be discussing...
Oh, that's why you asked me to come by.
Yeah, I need my own little hairy cryptid over here on my right. Absolutely. But you are a cryptid. That's kind of funny now that I think about it. But yeah, I thought it would be it would definitely be stage dressing to have you in the beard here. So, but we're going to do Dogman. We're going to do cryptid. We're going to do some
dress.
No, I don't. Believe me, you're not in a dress anywhere in here.
Thank God.
There's nothing like that's going on here. That's a different place, Don.
Wow.
But we're going to do lots of those things, and hopefully you'll enjoy the offerings here on the on the altar of the portal tonight. So, but good to see all of you guys coming in. Great to see you all. Thank you for being here and being a part of our journey. We hope, if you're not already subscribed, you'll get subscribed, become a part of the family and what we're doing. If you would, just hit the red subscribe button and ring the bell, and you'll know when we go live. But we go live. Ring, ring. We'll go live every Wednesday through Sunday nights, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube. So along with other networks throughout the course of our journey through these days. But we are always here. So as well as our podcast, which is a whole nother thing. But anyway, I think that's everything on the front end, Don. Anything else I need to throw in before we do our soft intro?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that came to mind is back end. But not such a great
All right, we're going to go. So we'll be right back. Hey.
All right.
All right, there we go. We are officially underway now, folks. So you're stuck with us throughout the duration of our journey. However, the rest of this looks, who knows? But we're going to dress it up as pretty as we can, so, and make it entertaining as we know how, which sometimes works out phenomenally, and other times it's more of a flaming wreckage. But we're going to do it all the same. So I think the best place to start, Don,
is at the beginning.
Well, it's at the news.
Oh,
what do you think?
the news.
The news. All right, folks, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk. It's me. Again, I'm here. I'm everywhere. I'm all over the place.
He's worldwide.
I'm wide, all right. That's for sure, man. Especially today. I feel like I'm all bloated to hell, but anyway, so be it. I'll be bloated right here with you guys. So
Julia says, I need to eat someone. Oh, get me pizza. Someone get me pizza. Right, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
Misread that.
Apparently. We got another cryptid in here.
El Chupa Julia.
Chupa Julia. All right. But we got some news for you, folks. So hold on tight. We're going to get some of these articles up and we'll talk about these. Not a whole lot going on in the news front, for the record. It's a pretty quiet news day.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing really over the top or bizarre, just some weirdness. So the first article is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Police disarm UFO detector in New Jersey.
What?
I don't know. I've just seen it too. But looks like a picture of it.
Wow.
For your viewing pleasure. A suspicious device allegedly used to track UFOs was reported to the police in New Jersey State Park recently. The incident, which took place on April 9th, saw local authorities attend to the scene of a peculiar device described as a UFO detector that had been discovered by a member of the public. Was it labeled, or how do you know it was a UFO detector? Would you look at that, Don, and go, hey, that's a UFO detector?
Ye old UFO detector.
Yeah, no, nothing, me either. Comprised of a cylindrical metal can mounted onto some wood and a cable sticking out, and a pole-like extension mounted on top. The strange object was found on Sawdust Pie Road in Tabernacle.
Oh, I'm convinced.
I don't know what any of that means, but okay. Concerned that it could be some type of explosive device, officers called in special bomb-sniffing dog unit to investigate the contraption for signs of dangerous substances.
Yep, I only smell stupid.
We're clear, boys. This one just smells of stupid. The device was carefully disarmed. I don't even know how you disarm a can with a cable coming out of it, but I'm sure they did it expertly anyway. It says, by New Jersey State Park police personnel, by unplugging the headphones wire from the block of wood and the soup can it was plugged into, the department wrote.
Oh, my.
I guess they felt confident that that was now disarmed. Although humankind and visitors to the New Jersey state parks appreciate the extraterrestrial early warning device like this, we should not be finding them in our parks. Please always be safe when around suspicious objects like this, and always notify the New Jersey State Park Police if a suspicious object is found in our state parks.
What is this? Oh, it's a fish sack. Call the cops.
Yeah, don't touch it. There's eggs in there. Oh no. There's their tweet. Apparently, New Jersey State Police were made aware of a UFO detector site. Well, how did they?
Where did the UFO detector part come from?
I don't know. Maybe they tracked down who did it, and they're not sharing that part of it. But that's pretty bizarre.
Wow.
You got this. You got a can. That's like a soup can.
Yep.
And a headphone jack.
Yep.
And this
Wow.
is something some third grader put together in their closet. I don't know. But there you go, folks. If you ever see UFO detectors, best to just let the authorities know.
Let them know.
Let the authorities know. They can handle that
They'll
stuff.
need to get a special dog unit out there to sniff around.
They'll take care of that for you.
Yep.
They'll take all the guesswork out of it.
It's a pile of BS.
It is. That's pretty strange. Wow. Okay, so that's the first.
I still want to know how they know it was a UFO
I don't know.
detector.
That's a whole nother story. They're not sharing with us, Don. Somebody came with, hey, my UFO detector went offline. Do you know what happened? Oh, that was you.
Where was it? It was in Dust Park. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're the idiot. Okay.
By the way, you owe us some dog chow for getting the dog out there.
Yeah, you owe us $5,000 for mobilization of our bomb unit.
Kibble.
And $30 for the kibble. Okay, so here's one about a lot of people are going the genetic testing route.
Oh, jeez.
And, everybody's kind of curious. Where did I come from? Where's all this? Where has my lineage been?
Where did you go?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are doing these things. But this is an article about that. What it says, I don't know. But let's find out together.
Find out.
And what it says is unexplained-mysteries.com. Genetic tests. Do you really have Viking DNA? Don, I'm betting you probably got a little.
You think so?
I don't know. You got that whole Viking thing cooking as far as it kind of got this thing cooking right here. If you had one of those upside down soup bowls.
My boss the other day, she goes, "Your laugh is so evil." I'm like, you have no idea.
You have no idea. Genetic ancestry tests are very popular these days, but just how accurate and meaningful are the results? Alla Callan of Stockholm University and Daniel Strand of Uppsala University take a look at a trend in genetic testing and whether or not the results are quite what they seem.
Yes, you're 100% Labrador.
You're a wiener schnitzel.
Reminds me of a song by a band called Coven way back when.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I can't say anything about the song. It's rather not.
Okay. A middle-aged white man raises his sword to the skies and roars to the gods. The results of this genetic ancestry test have just arrived at his suburban mailbox. His eyes fill with tears as he learns that he is 0.012% Viking.
Oh my God.
These are the scenes from a video advertisement for the TV series Vikings. This man is certainly not the only one yearning for a genetic test to confirm his Viking ancestry. A plethora of companies around the world market DNA tests that promise to provide scientific facts about your identity. These companies often claim to provide a complete view of your ancestry, even though they in reality only compare your DNA with other customers in their database. Oh, no. According to recent estimates, over 26 million people from across the world have purchased a genetic ancestry test. In the wake of this hype, researchers have begun to investigate how the tests affect our perception of ourselves. How do people make sense of a test results stating that they are, for instance, 35% Ashkenazi Jewish, 27% British, or 4% Western Asian? Some researchers have concluded that such tests make customers believe that humanity can be divided into biological races, and that customers see the results as a way of discovering their true identities. Other researchers have argued that people use their test results selectively, picking and choosing the genetic data they find compatible with their personal desires and aspirations. For this perspective, taking a genetic ancestry test involves some level of creative interpretation.
A creative interpretation.
What it means to have Viking DNA. In our new study, we carried out interviews with people from the U.S., UK, Sweden, and purchased genetic ancestry tests to see if they were related to Vikings. Since the test results did not include the term Viking, most of them pointed to the category Scandinavia in their ethnic charts as proof of having Viking ancestry. Almost all of the people in our study saw the results as scientific confirmation of either being related to Vikings or of actually being a Viking. Wow.
Let's go rape and plunder.
Pillage. Well, maybe we should pick pillage.
Oh, pillage and plunder?
Yeah,
Oh, that's no fun.
Jesus. As the man from the U.S. put it in results, began to confirm or at least lay the basis for the person that I am.
Oh, jeez.
This is why I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I didn't know I was Viking until just now, but I've been Viking all my life.
Yeah. In a similar way, a woman from Sweden said that her test allowed her to know who I am and what my origins are. However, what the test actually proved was based on creative interpretation. In this sense, several of our interviewees took images of the Viking fostered in popular culture and political propaganda and used them to make sense of their own lives. For example, people with experiences of violence and abuse used their Viking genes as an explanation, describing Vikings as warriors and berserkers. Knowing that I am descended from Vikings, a man from the U.S. said, has made it clearer to me why there might be a genetic preponderance of violence and explosive anger in my family.
Oh, my God. Wow.
What a narrow view of the Vikings.
I have to blame something. I've got to put the blame somewhere on something.
I'm not broken. It's my genes.
It's in my genes. Yeah, that's broken too, buddy. Please don't procreate.
Stop it now. God. Stop the madness.
All they're doing is finding reasons to blame other people for their problems.
Yes, it sounds very much like it.
Oh my gosh. You know, I had similar things like that in my upbringing. You know what I call it? Parents. Why'd I get my butt beat every Thursday night? Because, you know, I was being a butthead. I don't know, because parents.
In a similar way, interviewees who considered themselves to be restless described the Vikings as explorers and naval engineers. A woman from the U.S. said, I have to see new lands, adding to it that it was due to the Viking in her.
Oh my gosh.
It seems that the use of genetic ancestry test can facilitate a kind of genetic determinism in which a person's life is a natural result of their genome.
Now I know where German sausage came from.
I don't even know what that means. Okay. From this perspective, humans appear to not have much control over their lives.
Yes.
Anna Callan, Associate Professor of Archaeology and researcher in Heritage Studies, Stockholm University, and Daniel Strand in History of Ideas and Center of Multidisciplinary Studies on Racism and Uppsala University. Well, there you have it. So you're absolutely right. People are just using these as, well, this is why I'm broken. It's because I'm Viking. And, I don't think it works out that way. It's not like Jeffrey Dahmer could go, and look at his genome and, well, his problem is I got cannibalism in my past.
Okay, here we go. So Rachel gets it right, got it right. Mm-hmm. Says, I must have Viking DNA. This explains my love of pickled herring and bear fat hair conditioner. Awesome. There you go.
I love that bear fat. And the dog likes it too.
Oh, no. Yeah. Why do they keep licking my head? German sausage.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. That's a hell of a crutch.
Yeah, exactly. This explains why there's so much violence in my abuse and violent behavior in my family. No, that's probably anyhow.
You're just broken.
Yeah, just get over it. Accept the fact, move on, make yourself better.
Hitting is bad. The end. It doesn't have to be a genetic predisposition to hitting things.
Dear, why do you have a bat in your trunk? Did you see the baseball mitt?
Yeah. Because I'm a Viking.
I put it over their face before I knock them in the head.
Because they don't allow swords anymore, wife. Wench, get me a beer.
I call it Lucille.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Viking in them. Well, there you have it. So, and you can see people doing that too, totally just grabbing onto that and making some kind of logic for their lives.
That's exactly it.
It's not that I really like to travel. It's that I'm Viking. Yeah. Well,
I don't suffer from wanderlust. I'm Viking.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Why do I always want to pillage and plunder?
I'm pirate. That's why. And Viking. I'm screwed. Well, there you have it. The next article is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, and this is an eerie note discovered in a charity shop jacket.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Charity
Oh,
shop.
no. It says, bury me in this red suit.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Advice not taken.
Yeah, exactly. See, it's popping tags.
That's right. A woman who was about to buy a red coat from a charity shop found a rather unnerving note inside its pocket.
It was a red coat.
You can often find a few good bargains when shopping for secondhand clothes in charity shops, but sometimes it's also it's possible to find a chilling reminder that the items you're buying were once owned by someone else. Oh, no. This is brought into sharp focus recently when a woman in the U.S. discovered a handwritten note inside one of the pockets of an old red coat that she was trying on in a thrift store. The scrap of paper read simply, "Bury me in this red suit." Whoever had owned the coat, it seems, had not gotten their wish.
Oh, man.
You want a haunted jacket? That's how you get a haunted jacket.
How you get a haunted jacket, yeah.
Photographs of the discovery, which were later posted up on Facebook, generated hundreds of shares, with some users commenting how sad it was that the former owner hadn't gotten what they wanted.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, that's true. Others, meanwhile, tried to make light of the situation. Beware, the dead owner might haunt you for the jacket. I sure as hell would. One wrote, "I'm going to start putting this in the pockets of all my clothes I donate." Wrote another. That's actually clever.
It actually is. Yeah, that's a good one.
Of course, it's possible that the owner of the jacket changed their mind about being buried in it and decided to donate it to the charity shop without realizing that the note was still in their pocket. Whatever the case, we'll probably never know for sure.
I never really liked that jacket anyhow. Damn them. Stuck an attorney in the stupid red jacket. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
Yeah, no, that's...
Finally, somebody came to their senses.
I know, yeah.
Bury me in my Speedos.
Bury me in my sweats. It's like, I don't want to be all like in a suit. I want to be comfy.
You want shorts on and flip-flops then.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
a t-shirt.
Yeah, t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flop. The end.
The end.
Yeah, that's it. Well, there you go, folks.
Wow.
I'm sure it went on sale after this.
Yeah, no, it was a half off. Haunted jacket. I'll pay twice.
Free personalized note.
Wow.
Wow, is right. Yikes. That's it is kind of sad though, the person that wanted that though, and obviously didn't get what they wanted. This one's kind of creepy. This is more of a spoofy thing, but it's kind of creepy. This one is from unexplained-mysteries.com. This article is "Man Freaked Out by Face in His Washing Machine." There it is. Alex Boardman had been doing his washing when he saw someone inside of the machine looking back at him. The peculiar incident, which happened 3 days ago, saw Boardman, who later posted what happened on Twitter, load up the machine and began to wash cycle as he normally did. After returning to the room a little later, however, he noticed to his horror a distinct face staring back at him through the washing machine door. On closer inspection, however, he realized that there was in fact a conventional explanation. Grabbing his camera, he took a photograph and posted it up on Twitter. "Forgot I'd washed my dog's blanket and David Bowie cushion," he wrote. "Nearly just had a heart attack."
Awesome.
So, social media users certainly saw the funny side, with some suggesting that the late singer would have appreciated the humor and might even use the image for the cover of one of his albums. "Put on Hot Wash and Dance the Blues," another joked. That's so funny. That doesn't really look like David Bowie, does it?
No, not really.
Not too much, but yeah, I guess.
It looks more like Sting.
There you have it, folks. That would get your attention. You might be haunted by the ghost of David Bowie.
Oh man,
that's a great one. Watch this. All right, so folks, this has been a presentation of the Paranormal Portal News. Hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program right now. Ta-da! There we are. We're back now, folks. We are back. And
Rachel gets it right. Says at least it wasn't Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie.
oh, yeah, that would make you creeped out a lot. That was the creepy years for sure, the Ziggy Stardust years. There you have it. That was the news. Hope you guys feel like you're better informed than you were before you got here. And I can't be held responsible for any of it, just for the record.
Well, I blame you for making me realize that if I have Viking blood, I'm violent.
Wow.
Jesus.
Well, you're just a damn good griller, though.
Well, yeah.
That's the key.
He means interrogator.
No, I meant like grilling food.
Oh, food. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Just food. We got a lot of stuff to get through here tonight now, folks.
Wow.
And let's see, where do you think we should start, Don?
I don't know, but we still have like an hour and 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah, we got plenty of time.
Plenty
It's
of
going to
time.
go fast, though. It always does here on the show.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. So, Don, have you ever thought to yourself, what would I do? Let's say you're suddenly find yourself confronted
Right.
by one of the most horrifying creatures in existence.
Girls.
No, not girls, actually.
There's another one?
It's even possibly more horrifying.
Oh, okay. Other than black-eyed kids?
Well, it depends on your perspective,
Well,
but
that's
I think this one's more horrifying. And this is, what would you do if you were confronted by a Wendigo?
Oh.
The Wendigo, of course, the being of Native American lore and myth and legend and horror stories, which is said to resemble an emaciated deer that walks like, it's almost like rotten skeletal, walks on two legs, and doesn't like us at all or anything. Doesn't seem to like anything at all. Can be a possessing spirit, but can also be a thing of its own. And there are horrifying stories coming out of the Native American lore. What's funny?
Donald Cady's comment. I'm just going to leave it there.
Okay. All
That's
right.
awesome.
But I'll tell you what, I found an article that may help you in case you should find yourself.
Relished Razors.
Is he in there?
He finally decided to show up after like
About
months.
time. Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Nice. Way to represent the family tree there, Razor. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. So here's your best bet for surviving an encounter with the dreaded Wendigo. It's coming from ranker.com. I have not read this, so I don't know. I would like to just throw out a caveat that this is not intended to be actual survival advice to anybody confronted by Wendigos. It's just a collection of apparent wisdoms. Take it or leave it. Use it at your own risk. This is not being represented as actual survival
Because I get lots of practice with Wendigos.
I don't know.
The practice makes perfect. Let's go to find a Wendigo.
Well, our luck, we'd have some guy out in the middle of America dealing with a Wendigo family, and he's like, "Oh, I got that information now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go plant my beets." Here's your best bet for surviving an encounter with the dreaded Wendigo. According to Native American folklore, Wendigo attacks are extremely difficult to survive. These fearsome creatures hunt and kill humans, and they can even seize control over the spirit of their chosen victims. There are many variations of this legend, but the commonly held belief is that Wendigos are savage, brutal cryptids that are both supernatural and malevolent. Therefore, when a Wendigo attacks, it typically results in the death of their prey.
Death of the prey.
Yeah, they tend to be pretty good at that. These beasts are usually spotted during the winter and are often blamed by early Native Americans for devastating famines. Interestingly, many legends also connect them to frigid temperatures in the north.
Like the Vikings.
Yeah. Well, if you're a Viking, you don't have to worry about Wendigos. When you combine all of this with their singular focus, savagery, and great hunting skills, it makes Wendigos seem like a possible inspiration for the White Walkers on the Game of Thrones. Did you ever watch that, by the way?
I got to the part where Jon Snow saw his first White Walker, and that was the last one I saw.
By choice or just as it worked out?
I just never got back to it.
Okay, gotcha. I never watched any except for the first episode.
It's on Netflix now.
I was like, huh? Yeah, I saw it on there. In this instance, though, These winter monsters dwell in the U.S. and Canadian Great Lakes region and the Atlantic coast rather than the north of the wall. Whether you believe in this legend or not, it's always a good idea to at least know how to survive a Wendigo attack should you find yourself face to face with one. Wendigos are former cannibals, and you could become one by eating human flesh.
Oh.
So rule number 1, folks.
Don't eat people.
Don't
Soylent
eat the
Green.
long pig.
Yeah, it's not Soylent Green Day.
Yeah. Don't eat the long pig. Don't care how hungry you are. Chew some roots. Imagine for a moment that you're lost in the woods in the dead of winter. There's no food and no way to successfully hunt. And your only companion is another human. God.
Ah, you look tasty.
Could you ever imagine getting to the point where it's like, well, that's Phil. And Phil starts like a cartoon. He starts looking like a sandwich walking around.
You got
you're there
pretty
by
buns.
the campfire, putting sticks in the fire and licking your lips. It's like, no, don't ever let me get to the point where a human being looks like food.
Is that a hot dog?
Yeah.
Phil, put that away.
In times of extreme hunger, people will often devolve into their most basic survival instincts and resort to eating another person. However, if this happens because you're trying your best to hide and survive while stuck in a forest with a Wendigo, the joke may be on you. After all, the earliest Wendigo legends state that the spirits of Wendigos actually possess the bodies of people who resorted to cannibalism. Yeesh. Survival is possible, but it'll probably drive you insane.
Oh.
That's not a good omen. Surviving a Wendigo attack isn't likely. That doesn't mean it's impossible. But you honestly may not want to survive after learning about the side effects. It may be a little more than just conjecture, since Wendigo attack survivors are practically impossible to find. But there are some who believe that just coming into contact with a Wendigo will drive you insane. This isn't a treatable type of insanity either, as your mind will become completely vacant of all thoughts due to exposure to such a powerful supernatural creature.
Yep, girls.
Wendigos are insatiable and will tear you apart.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I go back to my previous statement.
When most creatures hunt, they are typically satisfied after making one solid catch. After all, it makes sense to stop eating after you're feeling full, right? Well, don't think you're clear if you happen upon a Wendigo finishing its meal, though, because these creatures are never full. Perhaps their insatiable hunger explains why they savagely rip into their prey in pieces before even beginning to eat them.
This is kind of
Dark.
Yeah.
Dark. Yeah,
Wow.
very dark. Well, it's our hope to give people the best tools.
Yes.
Not to be followed as actual advice. Burn the Wendigo alive to survive. So fire, folks. Remember, kill it with fire. According to some legends, fire might be just your best weapon when it comes to battling a Wendigo. Unfortunately, you can't simply wave a torch near a Wendigo face and call it good. Instead, it's necessary to somehow set fire to their entire body. Of course, getting that close to a Wendigo is so dangerous that most people won't even be able to test this theory before being devoured. It does make sense, though, that a creature with an ice heart would be so vulnerable to fire.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Always go after the Wendigo's frozen heart. That's the next little bit of advice. The primary weakness of a Wendigo is its frozen heart. There are many legends that talk about this, though the most common one states that destroying its ice-cold heart will release, but also kill, the human trapped within the beast. To pull this off, you'll need to get close enough to the Wendigo to stab it with a silver stake.
Oh, jeez.
It's also possible that a silver bullet will do the trick, and some even believe that fire can melt the frozen heart. Watch out for ice storms and tornadoes while Wendigo is pursuing you. Wow, that's not going to help. A Wendigo is difficult enough to deal with due to its savage strength and superior hearing abilities. Yet, these cryptids can also command ice storms and tornadoes, which may make it seem virtually impossible to safely make an escape. When you combine this with their apparent ability to cause animals to stampede and to rip trees out of the ground, it becomes even harder to imagine surviving a Wendigo attack.
Wow.
Therefore, if a Wendigo is after you, it is important to remain alert for much more than just their presence. After all, a tornado and an ice storm could kill you well before the Wendigo even reaches you. If you're able to destroy the Wendigo's heart, you must complete a ritual.
Why are there always these caveats?
I don't know. Boy, they're stacking the deck, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Against all odds, if you manage to stab a Wendigo's heart with a silver stake or blade, or bullet apparently, the creature appears to be dead, so you're all set, right? If the legends are true, you must go one step further and ensure the Wendigo won't come after you again. First, you have to take the shattered Wendigo heart, lock it inside of a silver box. Boy, people just got these things laying around or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Next, bury the box in a graveyard that's attached to a church.
So I'm supposed to take this precious metal, make it into a box, put a frozen heart of a Wendigo in there, and then basically throw it away?
I'm sure you can just wrap it in foil.
It's very twisted.
It'll probably keep.
It's very twisted. Yeah, exactly.
Before you head to the graveyard, use an axe with silver plating to chop off all the Wendigo's limbs and head.
What the hell?
Finally, salt the body, burn it until it's ash, and let the wind scatter the remains.
So you have to bury the heart in a silver box and then chop it to pieces. And then
With
burn it.
a silver imbued axe.
Oh my goodness.
And then you've got to light fire to
Is
it.
that to fight any bacteria that might be coming off it? I mean,
I don't think so, no.
wow. I shall cleanse you with silver.
Look out for people suffering from Wendigo psychosis.
Wendigo psychosis.
Yeah. As if actual Wendigos weren't bad enough, there's also a psychological condition called Wendigo psychosis. People suffer from this mental health disorder actually believe that the spirit of a Wendigo has possessed them. The primary symptom of Wendigo psychosis is an intense craving for human flesh. This is generally brought on by living in an isolated location without easy access to food, or also otherwise known as starvation. There are several historical accounts of Wendigo psychosis. One of the most notable is a sad case of Swift Runner who slaughtered and ate his family in 1878.
Ooh.
The following year, he was executed despite evidence that he was under the influence of Wendigo psychosis at the time of the murders.
How do you have evidence that you're under the influence of Wendigo?
I don't know. I imagine there's a tribal way to discern the truth on that, but not that it changes anything, because if it's a possessing spirit, they say you got to kill the heart, right?
Yeah.
A Wendigo can mimic the sound of human voices.
Wow.
Them and squatches, jeez.
Yep.
One of the Wendigo's most impressive hunting skills is arguably its most dangerous. If you were alone in the woods or knew that a terrifying monster was hunting you, it's likely you'd be looking for assistance anywhere and everywhere. You may also find yourself searching for a loved one without knowing that the Wendigo has killed them already. In either case, hearing the voice of someone you know may tempt you to reveal your location. Sadly, the Wendigo can mimic human voices, which means it's impossible to know for sure if what you're hearing is a real person or just a tricky Wendigo. Yikes. Going indoors won't stop them, Don.
Oh, that sucks. Run for the river.
No hiding in the man cave. Don't let the concept of a locked door lull you into a sense of security. Wendigos are extremely intelligent cryptids that also have fantastic manual dexterity. As a result, they have the ability to easily open doors. Even worse, they understand how to unlock doors.
Oh.
Although running into a house may buy you a few seconds, it's not likely to end the Wendigo attack.
Long enough for me to get my rifle and my silver bullets.
Long enough for me to find someone slower.
Or to make somebody slower.
Yeah. Hey, decap. Run.
Remember that baseball bat? Now I'll show you what it's for.
Pull a Tanya Harding before you run out of the house.
Take a knee.
Remember that Wendigos can hunt for several hours without tiring.
Wow.
Some creatures will tire eventually or become bored after chasing after their prey. Unfortunately, this is not the case for Wendigos. If one is tracking you, it's wise to assume that it will continue to do so until it catches you or until you miraculously manage to kill it. These fierce hunters become obsessively focused after selecting their target. Therefore, humans will usually tire out or make a mistake long before the Wendigo even considers giving up.
Wow.
Staying perfectly still is the best way to survive.
Right. So like playing dead is how you get away from a bear, right?
That's what I hear.
Don't believe it.
Not black bears, but grizzly bears, apparently. I'm not sure I'd want to test that theory, but
Hey,
if that's all you got,
I'll bring the camera
Yeah.
and the bacon grease for you.
Oh, nice. Okay, so Wendigos have an amazing hearing, but this may be in part due to the weakness in their eyesight. So if you remain perfectly still, it's possible to evade them. Of course, there are some who believe that Wendigo's eyesight flaw becomes irrelevant if you make a mistake of looking them in the eyes.
Oh, wow.
If you ever find yourself face to face with one of these monstrous creatures, there are a few important things to remember. Don't make a noise, don't make a move, and whatever you do, don't make eye contact. There you go, folks. You are now better geared, hopefully, to survive a Wendigo attack.
Wow.
If that should come up. I don't know. But
so they never really the ritual, yeah. So you gotta chop it off.
You gotta chop them, burn them, you've gotta bury them in silver boxes. I mean it's an expensive endeavor anyway.
Yeah.
I
just don't think I have time for this right now.
Hold on, I gotta go sell my car.
My Viking blood just won't let me stand still long enough. I must go pillage.
I gotta pillage to earn money to kill that Wendigo. Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's our first little takeaway, folks. We are proud to bring you public service messages that may ensure your survival or at least assist in your survival. Should you be encountering any Wendigos in your neck of the woods? We hope you're not.
Bomber says, no ritual happening here. I'm going to write my will and be done with that noise. Here, just sign right here.
Just start slathering on the gravy. I'm going to take a gravy bath and just make this quick. That's horrible. Horrible, folks.
Do you prefer bacon grease or sausage grease?
Right.
Wow.
It's how a long pig.
It's a long pig.
That's from Adam Davies. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
He was talking about his experience over in Indonesia.
Yep.
Yeah. Very, very chilling. They call it long pig. Mm-hmm. That's a term for that. That apparently some cannibalistic cultures that are still in existence apparently refer to human beings as the long pig.
Yep.
So it gives you an idea what we might taste like. Yeah.
Wow.
There you have it. Let's continue on. Right, Don?
Sure, let's go.
All right.
Go forth and
go forth.
Wendigo.
Yeah, I'm looking for what's next here. I gotta find my next little tab. I've only got an ocean of them.
No
way.
An ocean.
No. Oh yes, I do. You know I do.
You'd be like all 7 seas.
Like all 7 seas.
Did you just lose all your tabs?
No, I've got like several locations of tabs.
Jesus.
But I got all this RAM now.
Oh yeah.
So it's good.
I put in extra 32 gigs of RAM, and now everything's. Well, I still can't find that stupid tab, but whatever. It's on that other.
I put in an extra 48 gigs.
You got 48 gigs.
Yeah, I had 16 and I went up to 64.
Wow.
It's running like a dream, though. I'm telling you.
Like long pork.
Long pig. Yeah, I don't know. How fast that runs, but
trust me, if there's a Wendigo around,
yeah, quick as hell. All right, so we're gonna work our way through a little bit of this article, and we're on number 33. What is this one? What was this one? Beyond belief, these eerie experiences simply can't be explained.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna get back to some more of the cryptid stuff in just a bit here, but. Just in order to mix it all up.
We got to take a breather.
I can't, that's so intense. Those Wendigos and Dogmans and other things. It's tough. Tough to read about that back to back to back.
I always feel like
somebody's watching me. Who's playing tricks on me? Whoa. All right, so we're going to go to this. This is factandate.com. I just read you the title. This one is number 33.
Sang it.
I always feel like somebody's watching me is the name of this one. And it says, I grew up on an isolated farm with a wood that came up to the barn on one of the sides and acres of field between us and any neighbors. Every night when I'd finish chores, I'd shut off the barn light and close the door. The only light would be from a dim porch light about 40 yards from the barn, and if it wasn't too overcast or foggy, the moon and the stars. Anyway, every night I'd feel something staring at me from around the corner of the barn. I somehow knew that it had red eyes, and it was about 10 feet off the ground. Yeesh, that's not good. I could feel evil coming from it, and I'd always run to the house as fast as I could, certain that it was right behind me. I didn't know what it was, and as terrified as I was, I never told anyone about it.
Wow.
My parents had a habit of dismissing stuff like this. And even as a kid, I don't want to be seen as a sissy crybaby, which is definitely what my dad would have called me. That's such a love. Love is so beautiful.
It's because they're Vikings.
Yeah, they must be. Well, with time, I kind of got over it and figured it was an overactive imagination, combined with too many goosebump stories and caused it. That is until about 8 years later. I'm sitting around swapping spooky stories with my friend, who basically grew up on the farm. And she said that as soon as the lights were off in the barn, she felt something scary and evil staring at her from the same corner of the barn. I asked a few questions, and yes, she felt like it was about 10 feet off the ground. And even though she never actually saw it, she was sure it had red eyes.
Wow.
I was freaking out and got worse when I asked my siblings if they had ever been scared by anything near the barn. I was careful not to ask leading questions, and every single one of them said the same thing. There was a scary thing that would stare from the corner of the barn when they would turn off the light. I know it was just a feeling that we all grew out of, but how likely is it that we all felt the same thing from the same place?
It was the nothing.
It was a bunch of something though, because if everybody had the same experience.
That's the corroboration, you know what I'm saying?
Corroboration?
That's what I said. Between the different people though, that's always nice because usually most people, you get a group of like 10 or 15 people together and they can't tell you the same thing.
Right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
having that corroborating stories, those corroborating stories is pretty useful.
It is. That's pretty powerful too. And it's funny that all of them got that just intuitively.
Right.
Like not one of them saw it, but they all felt the same feeling, which is creepy as hell. All right, let's go to the next one. And this is sleep folding.
What
Okay.
is that?
I don't know. We're going to find out though.
All right.
When I was about 10 years old, I fell asleep under the covers. I woke in the middle of the night to find the covers off, but they were neatly folded and placed just above my pillow.
Wow.
I'll never understand this, and my best explanation is that I did it while sleepwalking. The problem is that I was young enough that I'd never folded sheets before.
Well,
I did not have a muscle memory for it,
oh,
and I have no history of sleepwalking before or after this night.
wow.
That is weird, though,
Would
yeah?
you like to come do my laundry?
I know.
You can do it in your sleep, apparently.
Just go ahead. I'll make a pile on the couch. Wake up and it's all nice. Never mind is number 35. I got home really late from a trip, about 2 in the morning, and I had to park on a dimly lit side street to get to my place. As a single female in her late 20s, I call someone when I have to walk alone, in the dark like that. Well, I call my dad, who is in a different time zone and 3 hours behind, and he knows the drill, and we're just chatting. As I'm walking up the hill to my condo building, there's a cluster of small trees and shrubs across the street where a fence ends and a bank parking lot begins. 2 shady-looking guys come out. At first, I thought they were out for a smoke. They then started walking towards me.
Whoops.
Not another building or a car, right towards me. Then they separate, and one is on either side of me, which felt like I was being surrounded. As this happens, I tell my dad, which they can both hear from where they are, I have 2 guys coming towards me. I think you need to call 911. As soon as that happened, they made a 90-degree turn and headed down the street. I still think about it often.
Huh.
I still don't know whether it was all in my head or not, but that was a terrifying experience. Since that time, I've parked in the lot that's well lit, and it really scared some sense into me. Scared my poor dad as well.
I bet.
Yeah, could you imagine how horrible that'd feel? You're several states away and different time zone, and you got to listen to that? Oh,
Yeah, that's not good.
no, not at all. Jeremy spoke in class today.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Number 36. Pearl Jam.
Jeremy smoking crack cocaine. Sorry.
I didn't ever hear that version before. My much-loved brother-in-law, Jeremy, lost his life in a horrific car accident.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does. A year later, on the first anniversary of the accident, my husband was cooking dinner when he got a phone call. When he checked the caller ID, he was stunned. It was from Jeremy's phone, even though the phone has been destroyed in the crash.
Wow.
My husband started shaking, getting weak, and sank onto the floor. He could not pick it up. He knows it was his brother's way of letting him know that he loved him and that he was going to be okay. It really unsettles me, but it actually brought him a lot of peace and healing in his grief.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What a picture. That's the picture they chose. Visit for the visitors. I was about 20 years old and my husband and I were staying with his friends in West Palm Beach, Florida. In the middle of the night, my husband screamed. I opened my eyes and there was a dark figure of a man standing at the foot of the bed. He stood at my husband's feet and I screamed and leapt out of the bed, hitting the wall light switch. Then all of a sudden the figure disappeared and our friends were banging on the door. It was very strange that we both saw the exact same thing.
Their friends were banging on the door?
Yeah, they must have heard it and ran to see what's going on.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Yikes. That'd be horrible. 9 lives and even more friends. Sounds like a cat. I didn't want a cat. I'm a dog person. I had a dog, but my stepbrother started feeding the stray cat and was hanging around my condo. And eventually, the cat and I became best buds. I brought him with me as I moved around, eventually moving in with my now wife and her 2 cats at her house. A couple of years go by, her 2 old cats pass on. I bury them in the yard, and I bury them in the yard before they stink up the place. That's some love.
Those weren't his cats; they were his wife's cats.
No drama, just nice end of life passing. But now it's just this cat, me, and my wife, and my deceased mom's old Chihuahua. It's a nice neighborhood and a quiet working families of South Florida. The cat starts to develop a weird cough. It persists, and I take him to the vet. They inform me that they can't help him and that he should be put down. It will only get worse. Well, I can't do it. He seems healthy, eats good, is still active, but the cough does get worse, and he starts struggling to breathe. Well, I try to prepare myself for the inevitable, and he continues like nothing's wrong. He would sit on the armrest of my chair I sat in, sleep on the bed by my head, just staying near me all the time. But finally, I can't deny it anymore. His breathing is getting bad, with long moments of him gasping for breath. I don't want him to suffer. I call the vet and set the appointment. It's getting dark. Now the crazy part. I take him in the backyard to a favorite spot, and we sit for a few minutes saying goodbye. My wife leaves us, just me and him, and a couple of shots of whiskey to settle my nerves. But then he jumps up and takes off. We're looking everywhere. Can't find him. He's gone. A couple of hours later, I'm out back still looking. I don't want him to spend his final moments alone. My wife calls me on the cell phone and said that a strange cat is at the front door and is trying to get in the house. Well, I'm confused. I don't think I've ever noticed another cat in the neighborhood. I start walking inside and I see my cat lying in the flower bed in a nice little nest of leaves. I pick him up, he's calm, and we start to go inside when my wife, now coming out the back door to get me, yells, "There's another strange cat at the back door also, trying to get in the house." To get to the back door, you need to go through the screen room, past the pool, through the sliding glass doors to the sunroom.
Wow.
As I walk up holding my cat, it just watches us go by as I creep past it to get in the house. My wife and I are both in our 40s, calm in an emergency, seeing all kinds of people who always think there's a logical explanation for everything. I put my cat on the couch and go out the front door, and sure enough, there's a different strange cat trying to get in the front door. As I look around, there are about 3 or 4 other cats around the yard and a distance watching also.
Wow.
I go back inside. The cat at the back door is clawing at the glass to get in. The one at the front is making strange noises. My cat is still sitting on the couch, struggling to breathe. We're all freaked out. It's been a long night. We lock the doors and go to sleep. I spring awake at 4 a.m. looking for my cat, who had a rough night. I find him in my closet, curled up on some clothes, not doing good. I get dressed, let my wife say goodbye. I take him to the emergency vet. It's around 5:30 a.m. And they quietly give him the needle, and he slowly stops gasping for breath while laying peacefully in my arms. I returned home. All the other cats were gone. We've not seen any of those other cats before or since. A few days go by, and I mention to my neighbor that our cat passed away. Her husband comes out and tells me that That night, he had noticed all the cats suddenly around their house, and their indoor cat was behaving strange and wanted to go outside. I've been with a number of other animals and a few people when they passed, and never have I experienced anything as strange or creepy as that night of cats.
Huh.
That is weird.
That is weird.
So is he some kind of alpha cat or something, you know? That's weird, like a force of nature.
Maybe he was a wizard, Harry.
Maybe. Yeah, it's Professor McGonagall or Dumbledore. Here's the next one. It says, blink and you miss them. It says, I found out that a car matching my car's description had license plates stolen, so I went out to check mine. I found my car, sans license plate, in the back and decided to check the cars around me. And they also had license plates removed. But then I noticed there were no indications any license plate had ever been there before, and it was just smooth. In my head, oddly, I thought, were there license plates on the back bumpers? No, of course not. How silly. And then I blinked, and the license plates were back. Mine too. Not only that, the sky was brighter and the sound louder.
Oh.
Either I hypnotized myself, or because I went out expecting my license plate to be gone, I briefly entered a universe where there were no back license plates.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, why? There's always back license plates. Mm-hmm. Some states don't require the front ones, but
Right.
That's wild. Where everybody knows your name. Isn't that Cheers?
Yep, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just sitting over here quietly thinking, Cliff Clavin.
Cliff Clavin.
Cliff Clavin.
Yeah. I dreamed about a pub, and it was all wooden with a nautical theme. The dream was very vivid, and I remember it to this day. Years and years later, I visited a friend who had gone to live in a town that I had never visited before. One night we went to this pub, and it was exactly the same as in my dream. Apart from the nautical theme and the cloakroom was now a seating area. I mentioned this to my friend, and he said that up until recently, they had life buoys and anchors all over the wall, but took them down to refurbish, which is when they also moved tables into the cloakroom. But that's not the craziest part. I went to the bar, and a guy greeted me like he knew me. I must have looked blank, so he explained, I've seen you in here before. Wow. That's kind of wild, Don.
So, yeah.
Just like you've never ever been to that town before.
Out, astral clubbing.
Yeah, he's out raving in the ethereal raving. Let's see what we got here. We'll just read a couple more of these. Number 41, hungry like the void.
Oh, boy.
Boy, I came home from school one day and was unpacking my bag. I accidentally dropped a sandwich that I had eaten earlier out of my bag, and I bent down to get it. It was gone. I looked all over the floor, and no sandwich. It just disappeared into thin air. To this day, I believe that sandwich went to the underworld. It was
Wow.
Must not have been a good sandwich.
That's a bad sandwich.
Or a really, really good one.
It just turned.
It went evil. It just went evil. Number 42, never break the chain. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time. Turin, Italy with my family. My mother, sister, and I were on the train station about to go visit some friends in Rome. My mom wanted to call her friend just to let her know our train would be a few hours late. She takes us to a payphone and tells my sister to hold her hand as she keeps an eye on our suitcases. I was supposed to hold my sister's hand. Uh-oh. Out of the blue, my mom is on the phone. A tall man grabs my hand and starts walking. Or to be fair, more like pulling me away from my sister. He starts asking me questions like, I had a lot of friends at school, and I was too shocked and young and naive to understand what was really going on. Panic starts kicking in. For some unexplainable reason, I start focusing on answering his questions. Then, a few feet away from the main entrance of the station, I feel a strong yank on my other hand. It's my mom. I've never heard her scream so loud in my whole life. The man literally ran away as fast as speed itself. I could only keep staring at him, disappearing in the distance as I heard my mother cry and beg for forgiveness while hugging me as tight as she ever had before. I look back and I see my sister pointing her small index finger at me like she's petrified with tears in her eyes. She was still so young she could barely speak, but she was repeating my name. I don't know if she saved my life or where I would have ended up, but if I had left with that man, but I definitely owe her everything. As for my mom, whenever she hugged me after that, she always waited for me to let go first. She never broke contact before I did. That's spooky, scary.
Yeah, that's...
So is it a supernatural kind of being, or what were you... They're talking about this guy running away so quickly. So
no, I just think he was kidnapping her.
that's what I thought.
And you know, he just, when mom showed up, you know, Mama Bear's here, you run as fast as you can.
But it says the man literally ran away as fast as speed itself.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like super...
Flash.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's like, what's going on?
Universe.
I command you's next. I think you got the wrong Flash going on in there.
Oh, well. You're right, I do, but it doesn't matter.
It's the thought. The thought that counts. One night, the door to my room started creaking open, like a half inch at a time.
Oh.
I would look right at the door and it would stop, but when I'd look at the book I was reading and then look back up, it would be just a little bit more open. Finally, it was almost wide enough for someone to walk through, so I said, "Stop it," as commanding a voice as I could muster. It stopped mid-creak. I was almost too scared to go sleep that night. I know for a fact that no one in my family was home that night.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's it. You got to own your space. Claim your space, folks.
That's right.
That's the key. Just like Mom used to make.
Viking stew.
It's just Coca-Cola. I just had to have a sip tonight. I've been all phlegmy. All right, church ain't out until they quit singing. Did I read this? Yeah, I did this one. Okay. Church ain't out until they quit singing. My middle school has a sort of fair or festival every year called the Carnival.
Carnival. Yeah.
Think like carnival. It's actually pronounced like that. It's on the campus grounds. The school is a Catholic school. So there's a church on campus, and the church is pretty much always unlocked for people who want to go in and pray and all that. One night during Carnival, my boyfriend and one of his friends were hanging out with me, and they decided they wanted to check out the church. Well, we went in, and they started looking around completely creeped out. I walked into the main part with the aisles leading up to the altar and was confused as heck to see someone sitting in there. But then I realized something. I recognized them. The blue overalls, the glasses, the pen in his pocket. They're sitting in the pew with my family was always sat in was my grandpa. But he passed on 3 or 4 years earlier. Wow, that's cool. All right, bad timing. This will be the last from this article for tonight. Bad timing. So one day I was upstairs in the bathroom sitting on yonder old throne. It's got a real regal title for the toilet. Sitting on yonder old throne, Don.
I don't get where the yonder part comes from.
I don't know.
But okay.
Just kind of
It's
a medieval
there.
reference.
It's over there.
Just minding my own business while I did my business. A few feet across from me was a metal towel rack. It stood almost as tall as me, and I live in a pretty isolated little rural town. And for a long time, our power grid was a bit iffy. Every time it rained or the wind blew, connections cut out, power flickered, and ancient transformers exploded. It's mercifully better now, but because over the last 5 years, all the old transformers did in fact explode and got replaced. But during these semi-frequent power outages, I kept a flashlight with the magnets on it hanging from the stand just in case. Well, this afternoon, the flashlight leaped off the stand, falling at my feet. Now, please try to envision this. I'm sitting there in one of the more vulnerable positions a person can find themselves in. It's probably a good place to be, though, if you got something paranormal jumping off.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
It's like, okay, no worries.
I'm good.
I'm alone in the house, and this flashlight jumped, not fell, from the stand. It arced in the air between the stand and my feet. Things that simply don't arc in the air. Nothing else happened. No disembodied voices growling sinister things at me. No hazy apparitions wandering about. No other closet door swinging or pot banging, such as you would expect from a rural cow town, folks. Just silence. It was the creepiest freaking moment of my life, as I sat there waiting for something else, I guess, to happen. Well, I finished up, picked up the flashlight, put it back to where it belonged, and went back downstairs. I'm only a little embarrassed to admit I was afraid I'd hear something walking down behind me after that, but no, it's all quiet. That was years ago, and I have no idea how that could have happened. Yep, the haunted loo. It's the haunted loo, Don. How about that, huh? What do you think of that, Don?
I think I'll have to check the toilet before I use it next time, just to make sure there's not a snake in there to get to my dingles.
Hey. Well, that is always something to worry about.
That's true.
Wow. All right. Well, I know I got to get to this article. This is one that I really wanted to do tonight. And this is an article, I don't know how long it is, but it's written by our good friend, Mr. Brent Swanser of mysteriousuniverse.org.
Nice.
And his group on Facebook, it's also really cool. And it's kind of neat. They've got a lot of cool stuff going on over there, including other members of the group submitting weird articles and stuff. It's really kind of fun. It's like seeing Brent kind of mentor these people and help them in their craft. So it's really, really fascinating. But it's Dark League Paranormal is the group on Facebook. If you get a chance and you're on Facebook and you want to find a good group to get involved in, definitely check out this group. They've got just all kinds of cool little activities going on all the time. So again, Dark League Paranormal. But the article in question that we're going to get into now is coming from mysteriousuniverse.org. And it's his most recent, one of his most recent ones, actually. And this is Mysterious and Frightening Cases of Dogman Attacks.
Ooh.
Yeah. Look at that artwork. Ooh. That'll just cringe you.
Yep.
Yikes. But anyway, I saw this come up and I was like, oh my God. I can't believe it. I can't wait. So we're going to cap off the evening with this. I don't know if this is going to take us all the way up to the end, but I know his articles can get long and sometimes take over a half hour to go through. So we'll get through this and then maybe a few more odds and ends before the end of the show. But mysterious and frightening cases of Dogman attacks from April 14th, 21. And that's today. Mm-hmm. How old is it? It's today old.
Today old.
Yeah. Doesn't get much fresher than that, folks. Everybody doing good in the chat?
Yeah, everybody's having a good time.
Okay, good. That's what we like. Everybody being happy. One of the strangest phenomena in the realm of the paranormal and cryptozoology is that of supposed real werewolves. And in particular, what is known as the Dogman. Not much, or much like Bigfoot, these appear as hulking, massive mountains of fur and muscle, and yet rather ape-like. They are described as having decidedly canid features, often with a tail, and of alternate between walking on 2 feet and all fours. They have been sighted in a range of locations and serve to really go out into the truly outlandish. Yet for as weird and scary as all this is, even more frightening are the scattered reports of these spooky entities actually attacking people. One of the very, very weird reports of an apparent Dogman attack of some form comes from the site Beyond Creepy and occurred in the country of Mexico. The person who made the report says that it happened to his uncles as they were driving a cargo truck through a rather remote jungle village that area that night, or at night rather. And as they made their way along the rough and rugged unpaved road, something very large and heavy reportedly jumped into the back of their truck. And the person telling the account says of what happened next. They didn't stop to see what it was because there was no lights on the road. My uncle on the passenger side saw this devilish creature that looked like a dog climbing closer to the cabin of the truck. They said the thing was huge. My uncle screamed in fear when they saw it. He said they tried to shake the truck, but it would fall off until they hit it against a tree on the opposite side of the road. They kept driving all night to the morning, all freaked out. And when they got to a gas station in the village, they saw gash marks in hand, but animal prints on the windows where it was trying to get in and on the back of the trailer. They told their story to some of the village or farmers, and they told them that dogman-like demons roam those areas. And they were not the only ones who had been attacked before. They were so freaked out by the hair on both arms rises, even telling their experience. They said they never drove through Central America besides the cities or villages at night ever again. I wish I could have recorded them telling the stories. They have died already, but even before they died, they stuck with what with what happened to them, and they never did drugs. Yikes. Look at that. I mean, just look at that image. What would that feel like? Would that feel like hell?
Wow.
That would feel like so much hell. The site Phantoms and Monsters has several reports of apparent Dogman attacks. One of these supposedly happened in a tract of forested land near the Ohio River in Maysville, Kentucky. The witness was a teen at the time with a group of other teens just out messing around and exploring an abandoned hospital in the area called Hayeswood Hospital. But this night was about to prove to be a bit more eventful than any of them could have imagined. They'd split up to go poking around the dusty ruins of the dilapidated hospital. I think we might have talked about this one before, but let's see. And at some point, the witness became aware of a fetid stench like something rotting as he was exploring the basement of the building, which incidentally had been used as a morgue. The flooded floor was covered in about 3 inches of water, and as he sloshed through it, then heard a metal door slam and something run through the water some distance away. The witness thought this was just his friends playing a practical joke on him, so he wasn't scared just yet, but he soon would be. He decided to get up on top of one of the long-abandoned coolers that had been used for storing dead bodies, hoping to get the jump on his friends and scare them, but as he lay there, he says the darkness was pierced by someone screaming. He still thought that one of his friends was just messing with him, so he stayed still, but soon that smell of rotting meat pervaded the air around him once more, and he could hear footsteps in the water as well as the sound like panting or labored breathing and sniffing. At this point, the witness was overcome by a sense of pure dread, jumping down from the cooler to go running towards the exit to the morgue. Hearing that panting and water splashing right behind him, as well as an ominous low growl, in a panic, he slipped into the boiler room and stood as still as possible. As he waited there, something very large and strong allegedly started to slam into the door of the boiler room, and there was a sound like scratching of claws against steel. The terrified witness then ran towards the other end of the boiler room in a bid to reach the access to the generator and the dock doors trucks used to unload, and the hillside that led to the woods. And he says of what happened next, "I opened the door to the dock room, and when I looked back, I saw the arm of the creature sticking through the opening it had made, and it was like a horror movie. It was a gray and brown mass of fur. It looked like a human arm, but it didn't, because the hand was all wrong. The hand had 5 digits, but the claws would have made a bear run in fear. I slammed the door behind me and ran for the dock doors. The dock doors wouldn't budge, and I could hear the gurneys overturning and the lockers sliding on the floor. It was getting through, and the only thing between me and it now was a single door. I ran to one of the windows by the dock doors and proceeded to bust it out, which mangled my hand from the glass. Then as I was pulling myself through the window, I heard the door get slammed into one of the hinges, and one of the hinges completely flew off the door and hit the wall. I tumbled out of the window and hit the cold, wet ground. When I stood up, I saw it in the doorway. Now, I'm 6'4" and 250 pounds. Not little by any means, and this thing took up the entire doorway. An 8-foot tall, 3-foot wide door. It was covered head to toe, in gray-brown fur and had a very narrow snout, almost like a Doberman pincer, and its ears were just barely visible because of the doorway. But I could tell they were pointing up just like a dog. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was completely paralyzed. This thing was staring straight into my soul. Then it snarled, and that woke me from my disbelief of what I was seeing. I turned and ran. I ran up the hill into the woods to get around the hospital to get back to the street where the car was parked. I hadn't made it 25 feet when I heard it clawing to get out of the window. I knew I would never make it to the car this way. So I ran back towards the hospital where the fire escape ladder was. I'd used the ladder before to climb to the roof to take pictures of the entire town. I completely skipped the first 3 rungs on the ladder and was now inside the enclosed part of the fire escape. Again, this thing howled, and I could feel the waves of pure terror filling my body. My hand was killing me at this point, and I was getting blood on everything. Just as I was reaching the first floor window that I could climb into, this thing slammed into the fire escape ladder knocking me down a couple rungs. It leaped onto the outside of the fire escape and began clawing at my feet. Just as I reached the window, I felt it. Pain, like nothing I've ever felt. It had grabbed just above my ankle and yanked, and in doing so shredded my boot and the end of my jeans into my flesh. I was able to pull myself into the first floor window, and I heard it push itself off the fire escape and head back the way it came. I'm now dragging my left leg and trying to keep my right hand in my hoodie pocket. The entrance we came in from was only about 150 feet away, down the main hallway and around a left turn. As I'm halfway down the hall, I hear the steel doors slamming again. I'm dragging myself down the hall just trying to stay focused on getting out of this hellhole. And then the howling starts again and I can hear it getting closer. I make the turn and hear the pounding coming up the stairs from the basement. I make it to the entrance and hear the patting of hands and feet on the floor. I made the mistake of looking back just as it rounded the corner and was running on all fours like a real dog. I bolted down the hill towards the street where the car was parked and realized the car was gone. They left me.
Oh, wow.
My only way of escape was gone. He claims that he careened off into the night running down the hill to start banging on the door of the first house that he came to. Luckily for him, the elderly lady let him in, and seeing the state he was called the police. When the authorities arrived, he told them his wild tale, but they did not believe him, despite the fact that he had injuries to corroborate his story. The witness says, "When the cops got there and asked me what happened, I told them the same thing I've said here. Of course, they didn't believe me and thought I was on drugs. The EMTs took me to the hospital and they did blood work and found no substance in my system. They then concluded I was attacked by a wild dog. I ended up with 36 stitches in my leg, 17 in my hand, and had to get rabies shots and tell the local wildlife officer my story. He informed me they had reports of wild dog packs running around the outside of town ransacking garbage cans and killing off some local pets. I informed him that this was not a pack of wild dogs. It was a giant Dogman, but they all just thought I was crazy. The only thing I had in my favor was the claw marks on my leg. Even the doctors were confused about how a wild dog could make a mark like that. It's hard to know what to make of this case. It's so dramatic and spectacular that it has the feel of a movie script or a creepypasta, but who knows? Perhaps just as sensational is another report from Phantoms and Monsters. This one supposedly back from 1977 in a rural farming community in the U.S. state of West Virginia. The witness was apparently just a boy at the time and claimed that his grandfather often spoke about large, strange animals roaming about the property, with the old man taking to constantly keeping a gun with him at all times. The grandfather also told the boy to always lock his window at night and to be careful when walking around outside at night. One evening, the boy heard something outside his window as his grandfather fell asleep in the living room. And, hold on. That's okay. One evening, the boy heard something outside his window as his grandfather fell asleep in the living room with his gun in his lap. The boy said he could hear a low growling from out past the window, but he couldn't see anything. The report says of what happened next. The witness looked and saw nothing in the window. He then went to get some candy from a bowl in the living room, and that's when he observed a claw coming in through the window, palm facing down, as if it was going to push the window up. The witness clearly saw 3 fingers. The middle finger was the longest. Years later, he claimed the fingers reminded him of the claws of the creature in Krampus, specifically a scene where he pointed his finger into the woman's face. He screamed in fright, which woke the grandfather. The creature also screamed. The grandfather went into fight mode and proceeded to hit the creature's fingers with his gun. And the witness grabbed a knife from nearby and also stabbed at the fingers. At that moment, the grandmother rushed into the room and turned on the outside light, which lit up the yard. The witness could see the creature clearly standing in the window. He even looked into its eyes. The creature took off running just as the grandfather raised his gun to shoot it. According to the witness, the creature appeared to be angry and was growling as it ran. The witness acknowledged that he had wet himself during the exchange. At some point, the grandmother stated that the creature had returned. It's back, she said, which surprised the witness. They proceeded to tell him that the creature had been seen around the property 3 years earlier, but had left. They assumed it had been killed. It had only started appearing again some 2 weeks earlier. Well, this upset the witness, as he had been playing on the property and should have been alerted to it. The grandparents told him that in 1974, the creature was in a deer stand. The grandfather was in a deer stand bow hunting when a strange creature attempted to climb the tree and enter the stand through a door latch. The grandfather shot at it and stabbed it, but it never stopped coming. Eventually, it attempted to poke its nose through an opening in the stand, and that's when the grandfather stabbed it in the nose. He managed to get a paw through and slashed the leg of the grandfather. The creature fled after that. The scar was visible on the nose of the creature standing in the window. As well, the grandfather also had a scar on his leg. The grandfather claimed he waited in the stand for 3 hours before feeling safe enough to climb down and leave. They had never heard of a Dogman at the time, so they just referred to it as a werewolf. According to this report, over the coming weeks, there would be found dead farm animals on the property, apparently having been mauled by something very large and fierce. One day when the grandfather failed to show up and pick him up from school, he walked home to find an old man dead in his truck, mauled in a similar fashion as the farm animals. Hold on. Supposedly, the police would come to the conclusion that the man had died from an attack by an unknown animal. But what's going on here? Did any of this really happen at all? It's hard to say. Another report is tied to the apparent mauling of a 13-year-old boy in Knott County, Kentucky. Apparently, the boy had been playing in his yard when his relatives saw him get attacked by a canine-type creature and dragged off into the woods. Oh. The police were called and arrived to find the boy dead, his body located 400 feet up the mountain through a treacherous rain-slicked terrain. The body had been mauled by a large animal of some sort, but interestingly, the coroner would conclude that it was not a mountain lion or a bear, but rather something canine. Could a dog have possibly killed this boy and dragged his 100-pound body all the way up there through thick forest terrain? Yes. Authorities have apparently still not come to a firm conclusion on what actually attacked this kid. And Dogman or not, it is a rather eerie mystery. We're left with some bizarre cases orbiting an already bizarre phenomena. Are any of these reports, or indeed any of the Dogmen in general, real in any sense? If so, what could this possibly be? Is it a flesh and blood creature, a supernatural phenomena, or perhaps even interdimensional interlopers? I like that. Or is it all just spooky werewolf-type stories and urban legends to tell around the campfire? It's hard to say, but the Dogman phenomena is definitely not gone away and doesn't appear that it will anytime soon. Wowza.
Yeah. You know, I know we've talked about that story about the kid in the morgue before.
Yes.
We have, definitely.
Yep.
You know, and that's always a good one because it's really, really awesome.
It is.
You know, but it's as for you know a dog possibly killing a kid and dragging a 100-pound body up 400 feet up a cliff. The answer is yeah, they can definitely do that because animals can take a deer down and drag it up a tree. So I think a possible Dogman, you know, grabbing a kid and dragging a 100-pound kid up a 400-foot cliff is nothing.
Sure.
So these are scary.
Yeah, they are.
So
they're especially that hospital one.
yeah.
And it is written in such a way that it's like, well, is that just a creative artwork there?
Right.
Because it's so suspenseful.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. It's hard to imagine. I mean, it doesn't mean that people that are literate can't have spooky experiences. They can, and they can probably do a great job retelling that event in such a way as to make people understand the intensity of it. But it does automatically make you go, well, that's really well written.
Yeah.
You know, it's really descriptive and really takes you into the moment, and it feels like, you know, a literary work more so than a report. But, it doesn't preclude the possibility of it being real. It just makes it seem like, well, that's something you definitely have to consider.
Right.
And I think that's, again, of course I have a confirmation bias. I'd like to think all of these stories are real because I think it's, well, not that I love terrifying stuff to be real, but I love the fact that, the paranormal is real, and the more that I can corroborate that, the more powerful it becomes. But at the same time, I'd rather not think there were big, 9-foot tall werewolves running around trying to eat people.
Yeah.
That's a horrifying thought. All of the creatures we've discussed tonight have been horrifying. And, the Wendigos, what a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
Even if it is just a possessing spirit, I mean, when you think of serial killers, those are horrifying people.
Right.
Absolutely horrifying because they're acting in such a way that is absolutely contrary to decency and kindness and anything good. They're acting completely contrary to that. And in such a way as to destroy and to tear down and to, be contrary to any kind of goodness. And that's disturbing to me. That's hard to understand. But I don't know, folks. It's, there are monsters in the world, and, quite honestly, a lot of them look like us.
Yeah, most of them
Look like us. Yeah.
Look like somebody you've met.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the other, the other side of it. But I guess if there are going to be monsters in the world, I almost rather they look like these things rather than
they're monsters.
Right. You can look and go, oh, monster. Okay, I'm staying away. Yeah. But if they look like us, it's like, you don't know. And that to me is more dangerous and more scary. Like if I saw a 9-foot tall werewolf, yeah, I'm walking on the other side of the street. I'm not gonna hold my bearing coming up to a big werewolf.
I'd be heading into the nearest shop and locking the door and going to the top of the roof. And locking that hatch and
hamstringing some people.
Yep. Here, I'm leaving some kibble behind. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's one for you.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But it's
sit down, Nancy.
It's disturbing. Yeah. Have a seat. Have a seat. But it's absolutely frightening. But I don't know if any of those are real. They could be. Now, when we had Vic Cundiff on the show, he said that, quite honestly, the actual attacks are very, very rare. I think he said a number that in the 1,000 or so reports that he's dealt with, there's only a handful, like less than 5,
right,
that he felt were possibly credible of people being attacked. And I think that that's really encouraging because if they're going to be out there, if they're going to look so ferocious, I'd rather they didn't usually act on that. I'd rather they had restraint. But
it's like a cat playing with a mouse.
Yeah.
A lot of the time the mouse gets away, but sometimes
the cat plays a little hard.
Oops.
Yeah, Nubis did that once. He had a mouse, and it's like they became friends.
Oh, Jesus.
he kept letting it go.
Not a very good mouser.
No, well, he caught it like crazy. It's like actually freaked me out how he exploded on that thing and caught it. But then I'm like, okay, yay, you got the mouse finally. Because unless you've had mice, you can't understand the feeling of going out to like make a sandwich and looking down at your counter, and there's those little poop nuggets. It's like, oh God, you got to sterilize everything and clean and before you can ever do anything, and it's so frustrating. And so when he caught that mouse after we first got him, I was like, oh, beautiful. And then I see him like, it's like an hour later and there's that same mouse running by. And then there comes Anubis. It's like, God, what are you doing?
It's tagged. I have this cat. I have this cat. And this cat's a wonderful mouser. She really is.
Uh-huh.
But she caught one. And she had it in the dining room, corner of the dining room, right?
Uh-huh.
And she actually let it go. I don't know if she lost it or let it go.
Sure.
But anyhow, it crawled underneath this area rug, right? So I pulled up the area rug and I kicked it back at her, right? She batted it around and let it go again. It came running back and I kicked it right back at her. And I'm like, we ain't playing soccer here. So eventually she let it go again. It ran near me, and this time I stepped on its tail, took it outside, and threw it into the bushes.
Okay.
I'm sure it was fine, but scared to death. But I mean, like, what is it with these mousers that want to? And they are good mousers. They just, my cat will leave them for. Here you go, human.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a video game. They want to play another level. That's pretty weird. But those are some cryptid stories for you guys tonight. We still got a little time left, so I'll go through some more of these shorter stories. Actually, if anybody wants to hear a Bigfoot report from any state, just tell me a state.
Yell out a state.
Yell out a state, and we can pull up any Bigfoot reports from your state. So if they do, Don, let me know. Let me know, Don. If they do. What the hell is this? Boom, boom. Oh, that's Missouri. Okay.
Minnesota, says Relished Razor.
Minnesota. All right, so let's go to the 90. I'm looking at the dates. This is a little more outdated. Here's from 2005, Minnesota Red Lake Reservation. And I have no idea the meat of the story, but it's some tracks. Oh, those are pretty good. Not bad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, let's put this up on the screen. These are from the Red Lake Reservation in 4 villages. The Little Rock, Red Lake, Redby, and Ponema, Chippewa Nation. And they are, wow. Look at that, though. Look at how long that is, Don.
Wow.
Jeez. Look at that toe splay, too. That's really an angular toe. Look at that. That seems weird. Yeah, it's just photos, unfortunately, so there's not much to go by here. Okay.
Well, there you go, Relish Razor.
Relish Razor. Well, that was one. Let's go to an actual account.
Let's go to
here.
an account. Oh, okay.
Let's try the 1990 Becker County. Let's see what this one has to say. There's Anoka as well, but that's from the 80s. A hunter was sitting in his pickup truck on a hill about 6 a.m. waiting for deer. He heard something moving through the woods about 1,000 feet away. 100 feet away, sorry. And saw 3 stooped, 2-legged dark figures with round heads walking in a crouched position as if to be stealthy.
Yep.
The witness thought they were keeping low to avoid being seen by another hunter who was in nearby trees. One creature was smaller than the other two, and they walked close together, side by side, with the smaller one in the middle. The trio crossed a grassy field and disappeared into the woods on the other side. Huh. Okay.
Larry, Curly, and Mo.
Hey, Mo. Here.
Hey, Mo.
Yeah, that's, and this is coming from BigfootEncounters.com, by the way. Just to give full disclosure here.
Next state. Let's do Maine.
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 Okay. What the hell's Maine?
It's in the, in there.
I can't see it very good. Oh. I knew it was up there. All right, so here's one from 2000. Looks like 2003 is more newer. 2007. I'm just trying to get the more recent ones. I guess we'll go for Freedom, Waldo County in 2007. See what it says. On Wednesday, February 28th, 2007, about 9 a.m., a 27-year veteran school bus driver reported observing what had to have been a Sasquatch on her way home.
Oh.
It was about 9 a.m. when I saw movement ahead. I look up to see this huge, hairy body make an about face. It was about to step over the snowbank, and then I saw it quickly turn, step back into the woods. It stepped into the same tracks going back to the hillside as it did when it came out. It had to be at least 8 or 9 feet tall, maybe taller. Well, it's a monster. And it had hair that swung away from the body as it turned and light in color, something between light brown to gray. I pulled up and stopped to look. I could only see tracks, and being alone, I didn't dare get off the bus. Later, my husband, son, daughter, and an old friend went back down to look at the tracks. The footprints were about 16 inches long, spaced out at about 7 feet.
Wow.
We followed them up the hillside, or the side of the hill, until it became apparent that we were now on what I even have to admit was a deer trail. I have seen many deer, and I know what I saw was not a deer. It walked upright, didn't leap or hop. Needless to say, they think I'm nuts, but I know it wasn't a deer.
Wow, 7-foot strides, huh?
That's a huge stride.
Wow.
16-inch print is a huge print, too. Not the biggest, but it's a big print. That's incredible. All right, any other states?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
We got a...
I know where that is.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see what's coming out of Wisconsin. We did one last time. Washington County, November 2006. Bigfoot steals deer out of city pickup truck.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So this is Washington County, Wisconsin, November 10th, 2006. Man may have spotted Bigfoot. A man in Washington County said he saw something he couldn't explain. Something that may have resembled a Yeti or a Bigfoot. At around 1 a.m. Thursday, Stephen Kruger, as part of his job, was picking up deer carcass on the side of the road. After loading the deer into the truck, Kruger said that he saw what he described as a large black animal, at least 7 feet tall, larger than a bear. The beast took the deer. Sheriff's deputies responded to the scene, but haven't located the missing deer or mysterious creature. County map below. So this worker saw something over 7 feet tall, big massive hair, take the deer from the bed of his truck and take off. That's the low hanging fruit.
Well,
right?
You need a snack,
Yeah, these things got to eat too. Now, it sounds similar to one I think Linda Godfrey told us about, and this would be kind of in her neck of the woods. But it's being identified as possibly a Bigfoot. Right. I wonder if it's the same story or if it's a secondary story to the one that she mentioned. Do you remember that she was talking about?
No, unfortunately.
I think it was like a forestry worker was cleaning up carcasses and suddenly felt the weight shift in the back of the truck, looked in the mirror. And as I understand it from that story, it seemed they were very able to identify it, looked very canid. Like it had the big wolf ears and stuff.
Right.
But it was grabbing the deer out of the back there. And I suppose that's a great way to make a living.
Yeah, no doubt.
You just walk the roads and look for something to get hit. Hell, for all we know, they might push deer out to get hit. Really, I mean, think about it, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's possible. That's how you get the fresh stuff done.
There you go.
That's what I heard anyway.
They just sidle up to the truck. I'll be taking that.
Yeah. it's like dominoes for Dogman and Bigfoots. Any states?
PA. Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're going to make me find Pennsylvania. Where the hell's Pennsylvania?
It's up by New York.
Oh,
right there.
There it is.
PA, yeah.
I'm geographically challenged.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so this is, let's go to Bucks County.
Bucks County, PA.
That's where Eric Mintel is from. Our friend of Bucks County Paranormal.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Bucks County, Pennsylvania, Frenchtown, March 2002 at 7 p.m. A dark figure that was about 100 yards away. It looked like a normal person from my view, but it was no human. We were shocked. I had a gun and fired a shot up in the air, but it kept walking. Then my friend fired above it with a small rimfire rifle, but it kept walking.
Yeah.
And we left. The creature was all a blur. The shape was that of a man, but it kept its back slouched like an ape. This is to all scientists. I don't want to start a big commotion about Bigfoot because I don't want to have you all over my yard. From Jay Sands. Well, yeah, I mean, if this is a person, if you heard gunshots, wouldn't you look? Wouldn't you?
Well, yeah.
I mean, I would. I'd be like, whoa, what's he shooting at? What's going on? But it's like this thing was like, damn humans.
That's got to be one of the stupidest things people can do, though, is fire a firearm and straight up in the air.
Oh, yeah, it's got to come down somewhere.
It's got to come down.
Yeah, that's how gravity works.
And it hits terminal velocity, and it can very well kill somebody.
Yeah.
And it would be your fault for being stupid, by the way. Let's see. Can we do Ontario?
Maybe. Let's see. I'm not sure what it gives us for opportunities here. Ontario. Yep. All right, Ontario. This is 2004. A personal story.
Oh.
Let's see what it says. This is a rather long personal story.
Wow.
I don't think we can do this one. We just don't have that much time left, do we?
We got a little less than 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, I guess we can probably get it. I'll power read it as best I can. Please bear with me. All right. It says, I don't know where to begin. To this day, even though even the thought of what I'm about to tell you makes every hair on my body stand up and brings tears to my eyes. Why the tears? I don't know. But they are genuine. I've never discussed this with anyone and hadn't planned to. After stumbling across your site, I think I've had a change of heart. I live in Ontario, Canada, and it's probably for this reason that I've never said anything about it until now. To my knowledge, almost all Sasquatch sightings are along the west coast of the continent. That's not true. And along the Rocky Mountains. I don't know how many sightings have been recorded this far east, but I know what I saw and have heard on a few separate occasions. I used to work at Scout Camp in northeastern Ontario. It's in a very remote location, nearly an hour's drive from any civilization, and one of the only true Scout camps in all of Canada. It's surrounded by lakes and large hills of dense forest on all sides, and there are a few cottages scattered there, here and there, around the main lake the camp is stationed on. Excuse me. Lake Christie, if I remember correctly, and although I live far away from this place, I worked there every summer from 1996 to 1999. My first experience happened in 1996. I was 16 years old. As a counselor, every 2 weeks we were moved around and put in charge of different scout cub groups. I guess so everyone gets a chance to work with groups of all ages. On this particular rotation, I was working with one of the senior scout groups at the camp. As part of their last week there, they had to partake in what it was called a solo night. This is where each camper is driven by one of the assistant camp directors to a remote location and left for the night. Oh, no. With the bare necessities to survive: a sleeping bag, rations for one day, and 2 strike anywhere matches. It was on this particular night that I will never forget the sounds that I heard. It was late at night in August. I'm not exactly certain of the time. And I was sleeping in my tent in the upper field, which is not exactly on the campgrounds, but in the, up the dirt road quite a ways, into the bush, another 5 minutes walk. Altogether, probably a 20-minute walk from the main campground. In the middle of my slumber, I was suddenly awakened by a loud, deep, shrieking, squealing sound that I had never heard before. I sat up in my tent, alarmed and uncertain of what I had just heard. I thought maybe it was one of my colleagues playing a trick on me, and the other 2 counselors who were also camped up there alone for the night, or one of the other 2 for that matter. And this being a camp full of staff who are well known for their pranks, I wouldn't have put it past them. Then I heard the noise again. It was even louder. At first I thought it was a skunk being attacked by coyotes or something. I've heard that sound before and witnessed it. For those who don't know, skunks actually make a sort of shrieking, squealing sound when they're being mauled to death. I saw it firsthand, but that's another story altogether. Editor's note: all mustelidae, such as wolverines, weasels, badgers, cruel cats, skunks, and otters, emit a loud, groaning? I can't read this. Groaning squeal, or high rolling shriek, often sound like a woman in hopeless distress when caught by predators, or in iron set traps. The sound can be very loud and unnerving even for a wounded rabbit. However, this sound was much deeper. Then, just as it had come, the sound stopped. Well, I lay awake the rest of the night, barely moving a muscle. When morning came and the sun was bright enough, I slowly came out of my tent and walked to the main campground for breakfast. A few minutes later, the other 2 counselors came down to the main camp and gave me a mysterious glance. Well, then one of them approached and asked me, "Was that you making all that racket last night? You scared poor Dave half to death." I just looked at him and said, "What racket?" with a stone-cold look. He gave me a knowing look and walked away. We never discussed it after that, and no one mentioned pulling a prank on me or the other 2 that night. Sooner or later, everyone owned up to their pranks, but no one even mentioned this one at all. It was not until months later that I realized what I may have heard. I was watching a documentary on TV about Bigfoot and the crew hunting the evasive being and recording what they thought were mating calls of the mysterious creature. When I heard the sounds of the recording come from the TV, the memories of that night all came back to me. I quickly sat up, eyes glued to the screen, and the hairs on my neck stood up. It sounded almost identical. I couldn't believe what I was hearing again. My next encounter was 2 years later, 1998. Again in August. It was late August, and there were more cubs for the remainder of the summer, so the designated cub field and its cabins were vacant. So not having much to do and no kids to watch, I decided to sleep in the cub field, which is the rest of the staff who had no children to take care of. The cub field is exactly that, a large clearing in the middle of a dense forest up yet another hill. It's probably 150 yards wide and probably 200 to 250 yards long, with a row of small cabins on either side. While I laid in bed in one of the cabins, I awoke a little after 12 a.m. I don't know why, but it was just kind of suddenly awake. In the distance, I heard what I thought was howling, but I wasn't exactly sure. It sounded kind of muffled, but I was used to that sort of thing, and I looked over at one of the other counselors staying in my cabin that night. He was fast asleep. Then out of nowhere, I heard what I thought was someone running right by my cabin. The steps were heavy and quick. I shot out of bed, grabbing my flashlight, wondering who was running around at this hour, since everyone was supposed to be in bed hours ago. I swung the door of the cabin open, and shone my flashlight in the field, and I couldn't believe what I saw next. About 40 feet diagonally from me, I saw a large, hairy creature walking across the field.
Wow.
Very swiftly. I stood there in shock, wondering what my eyes were seeing. This thing was absolutely enormous. At first I thought it might be a bear, but then I realized something. It was walking upright on two legs. It was very tall, bulky, had dark brown hair covering its entire body. Then, as if noticing my flashlight, it stopped, turned, and looked at me. I could see the yellow reflections of its eyes in its face. The face seemed to be almost half human, half ape. Like having a little hair on its face, but the skin was almost the same color as the hair, sort of light brownish color. It stood there looking at me, and I at it, for what seemed like an eternity, but was probably more like a few seconds. I wanted to scream. I wanted to wake the others, but I was frozen. I was caught up in the phenomena that I was seeing, and I couldn't move. And that's when I noticed the smell. It was a stench. It was such a rancid odor. I had to plug my nose and save from puking. Then the creature turned and began to continue its swift movement across the field. And in a matter of seconds, it was across the field, walked between two cabins, and into the dense forest. And it was then, when it walked between the two cabins, that I realized how tall this being was. I'm 6 foot tall without standing on my tiptoes. I can reach approximately to the 7 foot 4 inch mark. This thing, as it walked between the two cabins, was taller than where the top of the doors is. The cabins are elevated off the ground from standing on the ground. I cannot touch the top of one of the doors. I'm a couple of inches shy of it. I checked the next day, and I would estimate this thing was probably around 8 feet tall, or close to it. Again, I lay awake for the remainder of the night, my hatchet by my side. This was the scenario for many of the remaining nights that summer, before I went home. These were even sleepless. There were even sleepless nights afterwards while at home. I didn't think I was afraid of anything until that night. I tried searching for tracks the next day, but to no avail. I couldn't find anything. The next day I asked one of the head counselors if there were any large animals in the area, such as bears, and he said no. Apparently there were no bears for miles and miles. I never mentioned anything about what I saw that night. I didn't want anyone to think I was crazy. I thought I would just wait and see if anyone else mentioned something before I said anything, but nobody ever did. My last encounter... Hold on. Sorry about that. My last encounter was the following. In my final year, yet again August, and I don't know why I went back after all the nightmares and sleepless nights from the previous summers, but I guess I thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. This time I had taken a rowboat out in the lake with a lady friend whom I had met that summer. Yes, there are female staff at scout camps. Oops. Sorry. The main beach for the camp is in the small inlet of the lake, almost like a sort of a small bay, before it opens up. And as I was taking her on our romantic moonlit row, I heard what I thought was somebody whistling at me. I stopped rowing. She didn't hear it, but I know I did. I looked around at the surrounding shoreline and didn't see anything. Next, I heard a splash, a little one, as if someone had thrown a rock into the water, and I thought maybe another couple was somewhere along the shore. I grabbed my flashlight and she grabbed hers, and we scanned the shore from the safety of the boat to see if we could spot them. We were scanning in different sections. Then I saw them. Those eyes. The yellow reflection. I focused in on them, and they had an eerie resemblance to the ones I had seen the year before. Do you see them? I heard her ask without looking away. I said, no. You? No. What is that? Referring to the eyes caught in my light. A deer? She asked. Yeah, probably, I said, but I knew better. Then the eyes were gone. when we then agreed that there was probably another couple out there that we didn't want to get busy in front of other people. So I turned the boat around and we went back to camp. I have kept these secrets with me for over 5 years now. And this is one thing I can honestly say. I haven't told a single soul until now. I will never forget what I've seen and heard. Although there is no physical contact, I've been extremely traumatized from what I've experienced. All this has been put in the back of my mind until now, probably because there was a show on the Discovery Channel about Sasquatch today. Like I said before, it still makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up and my eyes water. I'm more than happy to share my story with you, but I wish to remain anonymous simply for personal reasons. If you want, you can just refer to me as Jay. Oh, that's pretty amazing.
It's crazy.
Several encounters. That's pretty powerful. And all of them were benign. I mean, there was nothing truly threatening going on, but man, you just don't know. That's the scary part. You just don't know when you're seeing these things. What is it? What does it want? You don't know. Is it hungry? Does it eat people? You don't know.
Well, and it, every time she saw it, it was walking away, or it was doing something other than, bothering her or others.
Right.
So, but it sounded like it just kind of picked her,
Him.
to
Him.
Or him. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To bother, and maybe that's just hey buddy, I'm here. Nice to see you.
Hey, you got a date tonight? All right.
All right, I'll throw rocks at you. That's probably what I think. That's probably what it was doing. Was it was pitching rocks at him?
Right. Maybe it recognized him. It's funny because I'll tell you, in many of these reports, people are sitting in full camo, looking through binoculars,
Right.
and they will say these things will stop as if they realize they're being watched. Turn and look exactly at the person, like look into the binoculars back at them, like they know you're there.
Right.
And that is just amazing. And it does really hearken to the, are they telepathic? Are they really able to fixate on us? How do those eyes work? Do we look? Do our fabrics to our eyes blend in perfectly? Maybe to their eyes it doesn't. Maybe our artificial fabrics and stuff are just like neon to them. Like they can see us without a problem. Like, oh yeah, another one of you guys. You know what I mean? Like they can just zero in on us.
The hairless apes.
Right. Yeah, the naked apes are back. Yeah. Oogtha, the naked apes are back. It's just funny because they can see us without a problem. And so you're right. In this narrative, was this person somehow chosen?
Right.
Just by happenstance, by whatever reason, to have these experiences because they seem to choose. I don't know how to explain it, but they seem to choose who gets to see them and who doesn't. And I'm not going with the whole paranormal woo effect here. I'm just talking about they just seem to know things. Right. and it's hard to know, what are they getting, but they don't seem to have any problem seeing us. They seem to choose who they're going to display themselves to and who they're not.
Right.
I mean, I do think they get taken by surprise every once in a while, but for the most part, they know damn well because there's no way any person is entering the woods and surprising them. They know we're in the area as soon as our feet leave our cars.
We make so much noise they could shoot us in the dark.
Our smells.
Yeah, exactly.
If they've got smells anywhere near like a canid, and I suspect they would, or hearing.
Right.
We're noisy, we're clumsy, we're smell. Even in our best attempts, I'm sure we still drop humanity smell.
Yeah, the chemicals.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know, folks, but it's craziness. But this has been our Wednesday production of the Paranormal Portal. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope you've had a good time on the journey with us, and we hope that you will get subscribed and become part of the family.
And don't forget to hit that thumbs up on your way out if you didn't do it on your way in.
Yeah, there's 90 people in here and 51 likes. Yeah. So we'd like to see close to 90 if you don't mind. It really does help us a bunch. It's one way to help support the channel and to help us get referred to other people, recommended. So if you don't mind, hit the like if you've liked it. If you don't like it, never mind. So anyway, that's all we got for you tonight. And hope you guys will continue to come back. We'll be looking for you. Lou, the good dude, how you doing? There you go. Thumb up, fools. And thank you to all of you who've come in tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you another show. I'll be back tomorrow night with the Night Terror, so I hope you'll join me then. And Don, you'll be back Friday?
I believe so.
Friday night, Don will be here with me, and we'll do it all over again. So hope you guys will join us then. But remember, Don, anything in closing?
Teespring?
teespring.com/stores/paranormal-portal. Link is in the description if you want to get some Paranormal Portal gear of your very own. This is a Superman gear, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I'm just grabbing my shirt. I just meant that to imply shirt,
The
not
gear
this shirt
itself, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, there's stuff there. Thank you, Warchild. Appreciate it. It says, nice show, guys. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and we'll be back at it. So please become a part of the party. Again, we stream live Wednesday through Sundays. So hope you'll continue to join us 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on YouTube. So take care, everybody. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.
Good night.